Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe hayom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
We're on page 10. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. La 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. La 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 la. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim.
Gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So good to see you. Cantor, thank you so much for helping us to welcome Shabbat already with such beautiful music. And we are joined by our beloved colleague and friend, Joel Stein, who's part of the Kol Tikva community. And we're so glad that you're here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Great.
And of course, Dr. Tali Tadmore and Jeff Stern. And most importantly, all of you here on our Bel Air campus and everybody who's joining us from home. We're grateful to you for being part of our Stephen Wise Temple family. It's March 1st. And yesterday was a very confusing day to me because I know, I get it, it happens. But this year is interesting. We have a leap year for the Jews and a leap year for everybody else. They come together. It
How
doesn't
often
always
does that
happen.
happen?
I don't know. It's a there's an algorithm,
Right.
Cantor. You must know.
No, I'll look it up and let you know.
Rabbi Adam Lutz knows. He's got the algorithm. But it doesn't happen that often. The Jewish calendar, in order to correct for the lunar and solar, we have a leap month. We are in the month of Adar 1. And then in just a few days, it'll be Adar 2. And it's so exciting because that means Purim is coming. But also, for us at Stephen Wise Temple, March is a very special month. Why? Because on March 17th, which for a lot of folks is St. Patrick's Day, for us is something really, really special. It's Stephen Samuel Wise's birthday. He was born on March 17th, and famously, he signed all of his correspondence in a green pen for that reason. It's true. And we're going to be talking a lot about Stephen Wise this month. We have Founders Day coming up. And today, I was reading some remembrances of Stephen Wise when he died in 1949. And one of the things that was a through line in what was written about him when he died was how much he loved Klal Yisrael. He was a Klal Yisrael Jew. It didn't matter if you were Sephardic or Ashkenazi. It didn't matter if you were Reform or Orthodox or secular. It didn't matter where you came from. It didn't matter your ideology or your identity. He felt that we are one people, and all he cared about was that sense of mishpacha, that sense of connection. And tonight we're going to hear in a little bit from Ian Russ, one of our longtime members, and he's going to talk a little bit about what this place named for Stephen Wise means to him. And so I'm really thinking a lot about that as we enter the month of Stephen Wise's birthday. We're also going to have a baby naming, which is going to be fantastic, and we're excited about that as well. So many things to be grateful for. We're going to light our candles on page 2. We'll ask you to please rise. And those of you joining us from home, you can light your candles right along with us. And in a minute or two, actually right on now, come on over. We're going to invite the Fury family to come over and light our candles, and we'll welcome Shabbat together.
Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light. Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leod likner shel Shabbat leod likner shel Shabbat. Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light.
You can be seated. We're going to continue with the words of the Psalm, Shiru Ladonai. It's on page 13, and it's an invitation to sing out and to bring joy into this room and joy into this world with our voices.
Shiru Ladonai,
Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Barechu Shemo, Basru v'yom le'yom, Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim, kevodo, b'chol ha'amim, nifleotav, Gadol Adonai, u'me'olam me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, yai-rai, yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, yalai, lai, yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, yalai, lai, yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, yalai, yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, lai, lai,
cantor. Sometimes a melody and a text come together in a powerful way, and that just is all about joy.
As the kids say, it slaps.
Did the kids say that?
Isa, right? It slaps.
Oh, yeah. That's what the kids say. I know that because of my MySpace account. It's amazing. We spend a lot of time there in the World Wide Web sphere. Hey, why don't we just continue with our service, Lekha Dodi. You can find it on page 20. This 500-year-old poem is all about this sense of romance between God, the Jewish people, and time. And it's amazing because it really is an extraordinary blessing that we have one day in 7 that we can devote to learning, we can devote to community, we can devote to ourselves so we can be refreshed and rejuvenated. Lekha Dodi.
Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi, Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. Lekha Dodi, Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם ניסוחו, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה.
Lekha Dodi, Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תחמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Lekha Dodi, Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
On page 24, a traditional Jewish greeting, Shalom Aleichem, and then we respond, Aleichem Shalom. So beautiful and deceivingly simple. Shalom Aleichem, wholeness, completeness, peace be upon you. What a more beautiful wish I think we could imagine for another person. Shalom Aleichem. We welcome Shabbat. We welcome each other. As we prepare for Shalom Aleichem, why don't you just turn to your neighbor and say, Shalom Aleichem. Shabbat Shalom. Nice to share this space with you.
Thank you for having me.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
לכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Rise for Baruch Hu on page 28. Our call to worship, it's a call and response. Our cantors ask us, are we ready to pray? And we respond, yes, we are ready for worship.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Prayers that surround the Shema. One is prayer of gratitude for creation, and the second is a prayer of gratitude for wisdom, for revelation. And then after the Shema, we give thanks to God for redemption. This first prayer of creation, there's a beautiful reading on page 31 that tries to help us understand what it's all about. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We give thanks to God for the gift of creation, and now for the blessing of revelation of wisdom, page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, Beshovenu uvekumenu, Nasiach bechukecha, V'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem hayenu ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה, ואהבותיה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Mishi, as I'm watching Chloe drag you on the beam, I was remembering when David Kolodny, Aaron Kirkbride, and Joey Freeman did a little dance during the Shema when they weren't that much older than she was. So maybe she'll drag you up here and do, not, it was during the Lekha Dodi, rather. They would do their little dance. So this Mishi, her brother, was one of the dancers. This is a bit of a reunion because Mishi and Allie were in 4th grade with my son, and that was the first time I met you, and now your mother is in your own right. And Russ and Allie are here with their daughter for a baby naming. They're actually 4 generations of the Fury family, sort of with us. Dan and Jody lit the candles. Allie and Russ are here. Lily is going to come on up. And watching us on television are Adrian and Alan, on our stream are Adrian and Alan, the great-grandparents of Lily. So it's a wonderful moment to celebrate and to see one of our own join us again to come back home. You stood here for your bat mitzvah, for your graduation from elementary school. So this is a place with a lot of memories for us. And she's bringing you home to see where it all started. So Lily Aviva, this is a beautiful moment to celebrate with you and your family and your entry into their lives and the blessings you bring them. Aviva, a beautiful name, means spring, and we're about to enter spring. And it's Ross, this is after your grandfather Arthur, and it's wonderful to carry the name and his legacy forward. So we say, Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachav Leah Hivarech et Aviva bat Yitzchak v'Karmi. We wish for you, Lily Aviva, a life full of learning. May you learn from books, from the people around you, and from the wonders of nature. We wish for you a life full of love. We wish for you the capacity both to give and to receive love fully and wholeheartedly. We wish for you a life of striving for justice, a life full of deeds and kindness, a life of concern for your community and for your fellow human beings. May you always stand firm and walk secure with the warmth of the earth in your body and the fire of the sun in your spirit. We wish you the strength of the rock and the mountains, the gentleness of grass and flowers and all the colors and all the fragrance. May you feel the joy of the wind as it moves through the fields of green and tosses the branches of the trees in the forest. Mazal Tov and Siman Tov and all good things that come with it. May you enjoy every moment as you've enjoyed these 3 months to now. May the next many, many years be filled with the joy and the wonders of raising children and seeing them become what you have become by bringing your children back to us. We appreciate that. Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov, v'seven tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, v'seven tov, mazel tov, v'seven tov. Yehi lanu, ulecha Yisrael. Yehi lanu, ulecha Yisrael. David melech Yisrael, hay v'kayam. David melech Yisrael, hay v'kayam.
These might be the last rains of winter, and we're looking forward to the spring, to Aviv, as it were. And it's appropriate, the Micha Mocha prayer is really a prayer of spring. It resonates with Passover, and Passover is a holiday of spring. And spring is a time for going out into the world, for going forth, as it were. And Michamocha is a celebration of our capacity to go from the tight spaces, the dark places, the narrow spaces, forward into the light and the rebirth of spring. It's on page 40.
מלכותך רעוף ענך, בוקע הים לפני משה. מלכותך רעוף ענך, בוקע הים לפני מרים. זזלי, ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך. לעולם, לעולם ועד. יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 לי.
When I was a child, I slept with a nightlight. I'm sure some of you recognize that childhood need. And I was afraid of the dark. And in fact, I used to sleep only facing away from the wall because I didn't want to turn against the wall and have all those dark things in the night accost me. Of course, none did because it was a fiction. But what I love about Hashkivenu is that it doesn't say, don't be afraid. It says, fears are real. And there really are things to be afraid of. Maybe not the things that go bump in the night, but the things, and we know certainly in the past several months, that there is much for us to fear. And Hashkivenu says, it's okay. It's okay to have those fears. It's okay to settle in to the experience of those fears and trust. Trust that in the grand order of the world, trust that in the spirit of the human heart, trust that in our capacity in this world to actually achieve the good, we'll wake up tomorrow to the sun shining and to a world renewed. Now, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be even next year, but to know that we can look from the darkness to the light is, I think, what it means to sing the Hashkivenu. It's on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzetenu uvoenu lechaim ulshalom Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Our Mishaberach prayer, found on page 253, is an opportunity to ask for healing for those we love, for ourselves, but also for strangers. And this was in 5 months almost of war. This was a particularly painful week, and we can't help but look at the images of civilians in Gaza just a few days ago experiencing terrible, terrible misfortune. There was a beautiful, powerful, and painful piece that Rabbi Daniel Hartman, one of my teachers, and Dr. Yehuda Kurtzer published this week, saying we can spend all day long talking about who's to blame and why this and who started it and all those things, but at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for areas that we are controlling, and we have to take responsibility for some of the misfortune and pain and suffering that's happening. And it's heartbreaking, but it's real, and we can't run away from it. And so tonight when we say our Mishaberach, I want to invite us to have an expanded capacity for empathy. It's one thing to have empathy for our own people. It's one thing to have empathy for our own captives and our hostages, and we, of course, have that. But our tradition invites us to have empathy for others, even the children of our enemies. And when we say our Mishaberach tonight, let's think of innocents who are suffering also in Gaza. And let's hope that they too can know healing and that they too can know peace. And that doesn't cost us anything to expand that empathy. In fact, it's a gift we can give ourselves. So when we say Mishaberach tonight, let's be as expansive as we possibly can be. And let's ask God for healing and for an end to suffering for all those who are experiencing pain. Mishaberach l'refuah.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Our Amidah prayer is an opportunity to give thanks to God for the many blessings we experience in our lives, and we can reflect on some of the blessings of the last week. It's also an opportunity to ask God for peace and well-being for ourselves and our world, and we can offer our additional worthy wishes of our hearts. We begin on page 48, and I'll invite you, as you're able to, please rise. Those of you joining from home, rise along with us as we take a few moments for silent reflection, for prayers of gratitude, prayers of praise, and prayers of petition. Take a few moments for silent reflection.
נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי.
אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום,
ונפשי כעפר לכל
תהיה אלוהי,
אלוהי. אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה.
ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי. פתח ליבי, פתח ליבי, פתח ליבי, בתורתך.
נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי. אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה.
ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי. יהיו לרצון אמרפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני, אדוני, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי
Before I introduce our speaker, I just want to mention that the topics that he's going to be addressing are really for adults only. So if you have children, I would recommend perhaps that you take them outside for the next 12 minutes or so. It's a compelling story that we need to hear, but it's not one that children necessarily need to hear. So I think I'm going to start with the personal and then go to the professional, because I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Russ, Dr. Ian Russ, for more than 2 decades as a volunteer at Stephen Wise Temple. I wasn't a volunteer, he was a volunteer. Ian never said no. We conducted sessions for bar and bat mitzvah kids and parents. We discussed parenting with bar and bat mitzvah parents. We discussed adolescence. We brought Ian in when we had difficult moments in the course of the decades where parents needed support and advice. I consulted personally and professionally with Ian for cases I encountered as a rabbi. And Ian was always present, always wise, always ready to listen, and just an incredible gift to this congregation, someone who not only grew up here, but also someone who devoted his life to this place, and as you're going to hear, was transformed by the contact he had. And it's a wonderful story that Ian's going to share about how synagogue life can deeply strengthen and transform and do all the things that make life meaningful and fulfilling, and Ian is going to share that with us. So that's the personal. Now the professional. Dr. Russ is a prominent marriage, family, and child therapist. He holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Social Clinical Psychology from the Wright Institute in LA. He served in the faculties of the National College of Juvenile and Family Court Judges of the Pacific Oaks College in Pasadena, Cal State Northridge, and Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, and the University of Judaism. He's authored more than 45 books devoted to protecting children in divorce and sexual abuse cases. And he was the past president of the California Professional Society on the Abuse of Children and a member of the International Society for the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. He has also served for 22 years, and I didn't know this, served for 22 years as a consultant to the top leadership at the William Morris Talent Agency. It's Hollywood, of course. So it's with great pleasure and with great affection that I invite Ian to come forward and share his personal story with you.
I'm good. No, I'm fine. I'm good. First, as I sat here this evening and I looked at this bima, I remembered when I got here that when I was 18 years old, Rabbi Zeldin asked me to teach third grade class on Sunday mornings. And the topic was Israel. So I came to him one day and I said, I can't teach Israel without a kibbutz. This building was not yet built. And Rabbi Zeldin said, go ahead. And so we got shovels, we got fertilizer, and right where this bima is, we built the kibbutz. At the end, we had fruits, some vegetables. We celebrated with the parents. Rabbi, thank you, Rabbi Yoshi and Rabbi Stern, for giving me the honor of standing on the bima of this sacred space. My 60-year association with Stephen Wise Temple has profoundly affected my life since my early days, and I believe reflects the power of the clergy to transform the lives of congregants. Before our family moved to Los Angeles in the early 60s, we never had to shop around for a synagogue. That's because my father, of blessed memory, had been an ordained cantor, and we belonged to the Reformed congregation he was serving. He decided to join the fledgling Free Synagogue, later named Stephen Wise Temple, for two reasons. First, he liked the idea of a startup congregation led by a charismatic rabbi. And second, because Rabbi Zeldin had been his teacher at the Hebrew Union College in New York. I said it better the first time. Because when he was a teacher at the Hebrew Union College in New York, he was taught by a rabbi, and that was Isaiah Zeldin of blessed memory. We read in Pirkei Avot the sayings of our sages: appoint a teacher and acquire a companion for thyself, and judge all people with the scale weighted in their favor. Aside from my father, Rabbi Zeldin was the most significant male role model in my life. He believed in me and trusted I could do almost anything that he wanted me to do for the temple. When I would say, but what if I mess up? He would respond, we'll fix it. Few people who run organizations do that. As the temple had no cantor in the beginning, and we were actually at St. Albans Church in Westwood, I asked Rabbi Zeldin if I could fill that role. He said, go right ahead. He didn't seem to mind when I told him that I sometimes have trouble staying on pitch. Not wanting to embarrass myself in front of the worshipers, I came up with a strategy. whenever the organist heard me go off pitch with it, he would go and play the melody so I could get back on. I continued like that until construction of the new synagogue, and a professional cantor was hired. I went on to lead Shabbat morning services with my friend Patty Golden, and later auxiliary high holiday services on my own. Thanks to Rabbi Zeldin, I gained the confidence to take risks and accomplish things I couldn't even have imagined. His fingerprints can be detected on every page of my professional life. But I am most grateful to him for helping me and my family get through the most traumatic event of our lives, a car crash that occurred within earshot of the temple on the evening of January 14, 1968. I was 16 years old and had recently gotten my driver's license. As we were leaving Cafe Danza, which was an Israeli folk dance place on Pico Boulevard, I asked my parents if I could drive us home, and they said yes. We were struck by a drunk driver barreling out of the Mulholland Tunnel. Tragically, my mother was killed in the accident, although my family did not know it at the time, as we were gravely injured and in no condition to understand what had happened. In his typical family manner, Rabbi Zeldin involved himself in the crises of his congregants. The next day, Rabbi Zeldin accompanied my older brothers, Barry and Michael, to the hospital to inform my father that my mother had not survived. In accordance with Jewish tradition, she was buried within 24 hours of her passing, and Rabbi Zeldin officiated. Meanwhile, I asked the hospital doctors and nurses again and again, "Where's my mother?" The answer was always the same, "We'll tell you later." It never occurred to me that she was no longer alive. On the fifth day, my dad, accompanied by Rabbi Zeldin and my two older brothers, entered my room and delivered the dreadful news. Overwhelmed by grief and guilt, I was given a strong sedative, and when I awoke, I didn't know if I had dreamed that my mother was dead. The doctors confirmed that it was true. Without my mother, our distressed family began falling apart. I was tormented by guilt, and my disfigured face required a chain of reconstructive and plastic surgeries. It was too much for me to handle. I decided to go away for a while, and I packed a few belongings into my car before heading out. And then I had lunch with my best friend, Michael Zeldin, one of the rabbi's sons. I told him that I just want to wander around the country to find myself. Michael was sympathetic, but said, "You know, you can't leave without saying goodbye to my dad because he has plans for you." I promised to do so. By the time I reached the temple, Michael had already informed his dad of my intentions. Sitting in Rabbi Zeldin's office, I didn't even complete a sentence before he said, "I spoke with Florence. You are moving in with us. You can use Joel's room. He'll be away at college." I immediately accepted Rabbi Zeldin's invitation. I was very thankful, though unsure of why they would want to take me into their home. I later learned from Michael Zeldin that as the rabbi of a large congregation, his father had to deal on numerous occasions with the tragedy of a child losing a parent. But this case seemed to affect him more deeply than others. The mother of 6 children was suddenly taken away. It hit close to home because Rabbi Zeldin knew, too, that his wife would be a quiet, calming adult figure during a tumultuous time in my life. That proved to be the case. I stayed with the Zeldins for almost a year, and they brought me a sense of equilibrium. Rabbi Zeldin did have plans for me. As soon as I turned 18, the laws have changed a little bit since then, and was eligible for a commercial driver's license, Rabbi Zeldin called on me to drive one of the school buses and ferry the children from around the San Fernando Valley to the temple's New Day School. It may have been his way of signaling that the collision wasn't my fault and that he trusted me with the safety of the students. His confidence in me contributed enormously to my healing. When I was 19, I traveled around Europe for the summer. When I went to the American Express office, remember American Express checks? Okay. The clerk said, as I was leaving, the clerk turned to me and he says, "Well, I have a letter for you." I had no idea because nobody knew my itinerary. I looked at it. The letter was from Rabbi Zeldin, asking me to phone him right away, which I did. He said, "We need you to run our camps and to hire the counselors." I had never run the camps before, but hopped on the next airplane home. When I asked Rabbi Zeldin how he knew that I was in Amsterdam, he said that he had sent the letter to every American Express office in Europe. I ran the Stephen Wise summer camp for 2 years. It was Rabbi Zeldin who encouraged me to go to rabbinical school, and he offered to pay my tuition at the Hebrew Union College. I took him up on his offer and studied at HUC for 2 years before shifting to psychology as the locus of my interest in pastoral counseling. But my passion for Judaism remained as strong as ever. And one of the great rewards I got was that years later, I got to teach education courses to the rabbis and educators who were training at the Hebrew Union College. It was here at Stephen Wise I met Dahlia, over here, a Hebrew teacher who would become my former wife and mother of my 2 sons. It was here that a fellow congregant introduced me to the CEO of the William Morris Talent Agency, where I would serve as a consultant for 20 years, in addition to my work as a family therapist and custody evaluator for the courts. Most of all, it was here that Rabbi Zeldin lifted me up when I was at the lowest point in my life. And now, I have been diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. It is a disease that diminishes my ability to think, find words, and reach my dreams. It is progressing slowly. But I remember that Rabbi Zeldin taught me that independence often means asking for help. I thank all the rabbis and my wife Aviva for giving me the help I needed to write this sermon and deliver it while honoring my individuality. Once more, it is the clergy who have empowered and transformed my life. It is written in the Talmud, one who teaches Torah in this world will do so also in the next. Rabbi Zeldin, wherever your spirit may reside, I remain your faithful disciple. Amen.
Ian, thank you so much. I can't imagine a more beautiful tribute to Rabbi Zeldin. And I can't thank you enough for your courage and for sharing your story with us. I've known you not as long as Rabbi Stern, but for many years. And when I first read your draft of your Devar Torah, there were things I just didn't know. And I'm grateful to you. And if ever anyone needed and a reminder of how important community is and how important a synagogue is and how important a rabbi or a cantor or a teacher or a therapist can be. Your words are that reminder. So thank you so much, Ian. We're going to offer a prayer for our country, and you can find the words on page 258. And these words inspire us and encourage us to try to be the best citizens that we can be so that we can make our communities the best communities they can be. There's an election in California coming up on Tuesday, so please make sure you do your civic duty and vote. Let's say these words together on the bottom of 258. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who've died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit as we say amen. I'll invite you to turn to the handout you should have received on the way in. If you're joining from home, you'll see these words on your screen. Each week for the last 147 days, we have offered special prayers for our captives. And as I mentioned earlier, our empathy is without limits. We can devote night and day to their return and also care for others who are in need of our love. But now let's focus our attention on our family who is held captive in Gaza and pray for their immediate return.
Our brothers, Achenu.
Alexander Danzig.
Achotenu. Our sisters, Achotenu.
Ori Danino.
Achenu. Our brothers, Achenu.
Evietar David.
Achotenu. Our sisters, Achotenu.
Chen Dekel.
Wherever you are, whatever we must do, we are always, always there with you. We are with you, our brothers, Achenu. We are with you, our sisters, Achotenu. From the darkness to the light,
We are
from the
with
darkness to the light,
We are
from the
with
darkness to the light. Make everything alright.
We are
From the
with
darkness to the light,
We are
from the
with
darkness to the light,
We are
from the
with
darkness to the light. Make everything alright. We are with you.
So I'd like to invite Ian to come up and Ross and Allie to come up if you can, because it looks like Lily's having a little schluff, which is good. I'll invite everybody to rise. We're on page 5, and let's think of the joyous things in our lives. If you're joining us from home and you want to add, maybe there's a birthday greeting you want to send out or a happy anniversary. Let's think of the joys of our lives. There are plenty of oys, but there are those joys too, and we need to be grateful and thankful for each and every one of them. Let's fill our cups with sweet juice or fine wine and give thanks to God for the goodness all around.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Bore peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lemase v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh. Zeicher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki fanu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Kaddish Shabbat L'chaim.
And I see some of our little ones have returned. So if you're under the age of bar bat mitzvah, please come up and help me open the Ark, page 282, Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol Latet gidula leotzer brishit Shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot Velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem V'gor aleinu kehor hamonam Va'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nehemar V'haya Adonai Melech HaKol ha'aretz V'yom hahu V'yom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo 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 echad.
Please be seated. Perhaps in the infinite wisdom of our tradition that the Kiddush prayer that we sing for the sweet wine, the wine, just a little bit of alcohol that gladdens the heart, and the Kaddish prayer that we say when we remember those who have lived and died and left us with a legacy of their lives, that the similar words are used to describe each, and they're connected by Kadosh, which means holy. And it's a reminder that in life, there are moments that lift us up, that are bigger than each of us as individuals, that connect us to each other, that connect us to our past, that evoke within us feelings of depth and expansiveness that go beyond just our individual lives. So moving from Kiddush, celebrations of our lives, to Kaddish, the remembrance of those who have lived and died, is to speak of the power of existence and the power of what it means to have our lives and those of others touch in meaningful ways. If you are remembering, if you are actually in the first 30 days of mourning and remembering someone who has died within those 30 days, please rise, if you would. If you're in the first year of mourning, I'd like to invite you to rise. And if you're observing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, please rise. And as you remember the sacredness of the life of the person who perhaps gave you life, perhaps filled your life with the things that give it meaning, we stand beside you. Those of you who'd wish to can rise, please, and join with the mourners as we recite the Kaddish. You can find it in your books on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divarach utei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'izman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam u'l'almei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei l'kudusha v'richu. Le'elam min kol berachata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechmata, da'miran bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the memory of your loved ones be a lasting blessing. Please be seated.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's a privilege to be able to say some words of thanks. First of all, to you, Dr. Ian Russ, for your beautiful and moving words. Thank you, Rabbi Stern. Thank you, Cantor Emma. Joel, thank you for joining us on the Bema and bringing your voice to us. Dr. Tali Tadmore, Jeff Stern. We're grateful for everything you do, and to our entire crew who makes our services possible. Thank you so much. It is beautiful to be able to share moments like this, not just with everybody who's in our sanctuary, but with hundreds and hundreds of people who are joining us online. We're grateful for all of the work that goes into that. We're going to conclude with our prayer, Oseh Shalom, those last words of the Kaddish prayer. And we ask for that sense of wholeness, that sense of shalom, not just for us, but for all Israel and for all humanity. And we'll join together in those words. Thank you so much.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh Shalom. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh Shalom. Hu yaseh Shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael. Ve'imru. Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh Shalom. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. Shar
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.